Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 3 In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be covering Spectre, who is my favorite specialist in the entire game. I originally really liked Prophet and the glitch ability, but Spectre is growing on me. We're going to be talking about Spectre's lore, then we're going to move into the Ripper ability, then Active Camo, and then we'll talk about some cosmetic options and general suggestions. Lore-wise, Spectre is interesting because Spectre is gender neutral. He speaks, or he or she speaks in a synthesized male voice, but it isn't really clear whether Spectre is male, female, both, perhaps a clone, always speaking about evolutionary advantage. I have a feeling that Spectre was grown in a lab somewhere. Spectre's story is basically that he's an assassin, he, she. I'm going to use the male gender he just because that's easier for me. Killing with surgical precision, very rarely any signs of a struggle, and never failing in a mission. When it comes to other specialists, it is entirely possible that Spectre has killed relatives of some of the other specialists, which is why they don't like him very much at all, and Spectre is also aware that he is inside of a simulation. All that aside, let's talk about Spectre's bread and butter ability, which is the Ripper. This is my favorite ability in the entire game. It takes a bit of skill to use, not to get one kill, but to chain into a series of kills, and it complements many classes very, very well, especially close quarters combat classes, and occasionally sniper/long range classes. Gives you a little bit more of a close range competitive edge, but does pretty poorly on medium range classes where you're trying to poke people down. I just love it because it's a big fat FU, and it's just a free kill, and allows you to keep on going, keep on slaying, and it feels somewhat skillful to me to chain the kills together, even though getting an individual kill is of course not very skillful at all. Testing wise today, I wanted to show you the range of the Ripper lock-on. Every time he gets that red X on his head, that means that J-Hub is ready to be ripped. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to activate it and then use it, your activation just uses it. So the second you hit those bumpers, as long as that thing is up there, you can rip them, no problems whatsoever. The Ripper also very surprisingly rips kill streaks. I didn't think it would be very good against kill streaks, but just look what it does to the GI unit here. It'll also do the exact same thing to the safeguard robot. It won't lock on to something. Oop, I accidentally ripped J-Hub there. It won't lock on to something like the Cerberus, but it will kill it way faster than you would think, and it can also kill the sentry gun. Of note, it doesn't drain your ability when you kill those things. This is me controlling the Talon, and you'll see that J-Hub is able to jump up and kill the Talon in exactly one hit, just so long as he's able to touch it, which makes this a surprisingly effective anti-kill streak ability, and it locks onto people and kind of sucks you into the air. I was able to do this once in game. I see an enemy coming along the wall. I decided to jump to the right to make them think I'm going to skip over them, rip back to the wall, stab them, plant my feet, and I am on my merry way with the Ripper. As I've said before in some of the other specialist in-depth videos, I feel that the Ripper ability is criminally underrated. A lot of this negativity comes from the beta, where when Spectre, not Ripper, first came out, people felt that this wasn't as cool as the other abilities, and at first glance, it really isn't. It probably doesn't look like much more than an overglorified knife, or maybe something with half the range of Commando Pro, and I'm going to let you know this works almost exactly like Commando Pro with about half the range. But in a game of two-hit melees, of a lot of close quarters combat and nasty situations, this can save you a whole lot more times than you think, and you can chain some kills together very, very effectively. It also has a few abilities that are unique to specialists, namely the instant activation. All of the other specialists, you have to pull out the gun and twirl it around like the Annihilator. You have to pull out your bow and arrow and be all fancy. You have to summon your gun for the, the scythe. Almost forgot there in a second mid-commentary. But every weapon has an activation time. They have a draw time, a pull-out time. It's kind of annoying. The Ripper, the very second you touch those buttons, it rips. That's all you need to do. There's no activation, there's no pull-out, there's no delay, there's no build-up, there's just going straight to ripping, and that makes it very effective because it works more like an ability and less like a weapon with that kind of speed of use, and I think that's very awesome. Another awesome thing is it is the fastest charging weapon or ability in the game, and I say that weapon or ability, and I really do mean that. If I'm not mistaken, this charges in like a minute and 44 seconds, even without overdrive, and that is extremely fast. I think the next fastest charging weapon in the game is 5 minutes, and some of them can go up to 6 minutes plus, depending on how you're playing. And remember that every time you get a kill, in TDM anyway, it's 24 seconds off, so you only have to get 3, maybe 4 kills and your Ripper is fully charged, not even counting the time component. So you're almost always going to have your Ripper charged and available. This one's good to go. You're not going to have to wait half the game to pull out your scythe. You're not going to have to wait forever to get ready to Tempest people and then get killed one hit off and, well, there it goes. You can use the Ripper probably 5-6 times in a normal game. Another cool thing about the Ripper, why I like it so much, is, and this has actually been nerfed a little bit by DJ Vaughn, he thought it was too powerful, is that when you die with the Ripper, you retain a larger portion of your specialist charge than any other weapon in the game. It used to be exactly, but now it cuts down to half and therefore a little bit more proportional. But if you call in the Purifier and go on a purification spree and you die, it's all gone. If you get shot while you're drawing out your Tempest, gone. If you get hit by a grenade while you're fooling around with your Annihilator, it's completely gone and you have to wait another 6 minutes to get it back. If you get shot while you're pulling out your Ripper, if you even get killed mid-Ripper, you will respawn and still have a ton of Ripper charge left in it, which means it's incredibly easy to recharge and get going and get back to ripping. This ability to me almost feels like carrying maybe like a super combat knife or a ballistic knife, and I kind of feel that the Ripper ability is what has replaced the ballistic knife in this game, and it's going to be the primary melee going forward. Again, extremely good, extremely tactical, useful in a lot of scenarios. I'm going to say that you really don't need it with overdrive because it charges so fast anyway. I'm doing it a little bit here in the video just so that I can get the most gameplay, but you will have plenty of ripping to do without overdrive, and you don't need it. It's just an awesome ability. I can't recommend it strongly enough. However, it does have a few downsides, and I'm going to be showing you a few of my fail rips here. The primary downside is it's a melee ability. Even if it has a lock-on, even if it has a dash, you have to get in their face, and sometimes you just get shot in the face. You get killed by another specialist ability, you get killed by an Annihilator, sometimes like in that clip right there, it'll just miss for funny reasons because people move. You have to get in their face with it, which is an incredibly dangerous thing to do, and it makes it somewhat harder to use than most of the other specialist abilities. The Scythe, the Reaper, the Annihilator, all those you can ding people across the map. This one you've got to be fairly close, and just being close is scary. Kind of, you can get purified easily, and people do have a tendency to shoot Spectres before they get close to you. If they can recognize your Spectre, the character, they're not going to let you get close to them. They're going to walk backwards and shoot so that you can't rip them in the face like I did to that guy right there. Like this guy right here, he knows they're not going to let me get close enough to rip them. It's not good. It's just not going to happen no matter what I do. So do keep in mind, if you use this, while it may be awesome and while I may love it, you will have a lot of fail rips. There will be a lot of scenarios where you feel like you're going in, it's like, but I was there and I touched them and he got a lucky headshot on me and now I'm dead. Well, that kind of blows, and now I have half my specialist meter gone, and that's reality. For all the awesome things about it, it has a few really, really dumpy things, and the dumpy things are just something that you're going to have to deal with. Moving on, let's talk about Spectre's Active Camo ability. I won't focus on this one as much because I don't feel it's as critical to the class, nor as it is complicated, but I will cover it in depth. When you activate Active Camo, you become stealth for 5 seconds. You kind of turn into the Predator or the Exo Cloak from Advanced Warfare or something like that. You're kind of easy to see a lot of the times. You do have a blue outline. However, people do miss you, especially at long range, especially when they're just scanning, or if you're against a bright colored black background like sand or water or something. People will overlook you quite easily just because they're not expecting an invisible dude to pop up in their face. But let's jump to the testing on this ability. There are a lot of myths and rumors, but I'm going to try to dispel many of them very quickly. One of them is that you don't show up on UAV, and as you can see with this testing with J-Hub, he does very clearly still get pinged by the UAV, so you don't go invisible. There is the myth that you are invisible to score streaks while you're cloaked. Again, that's not true. You can see that J-Hub gets murdered just after going cloaked. They say that it makes you immune to thermal. Absolutely not true. You show up nice, bright, and yellow and red on thermal. Moving into some other kind of myths, it's that it'll delay equipment or something, and that unfortunately isn't true, but it does seem to reduce the blast radius. Instead of being near the equipment, now you have to run over the equipment to detonate it, which is useful, but it definitely isn't any kind of equipment immunity. This ability is useful when you have to make a play. For instance, I've been camping behind this car for quite some time, and I'm in a bad situation, but I can go Active Camo. The sniper hasn't even noticed me just because he's not looking for me. I'm able to get below him where he can't see me, throw a stun, jump up here and get a kill, and it's no problem whatsoever. This is an all or nothing ability. Sometimes you'll use it and it'll be awesome, and it'll feel like the all, and then a lot of times you'll use it and people will see your Active Camo and shoot you, and it'll feel like a big fat that, nothing. It's not as useful in pubs unless you like to flank really, really hard. It's pretty much just a flanking ability, though I do feel it has more uses in something like search and destroy or capture the flag if you need a sneaky pull, and I definitely can see it being a competitive ability. Again, it's an all or nothing ability. It's very, very situational. It has a tendency to be very fluky just because of how it works, but I could totally rock this in competitive, again, especially in search and destroy or CTF or something like that. As for pubs, unless you're playing S&D, maybe TDM, probably not the best to go with this one. Also, I would probably recommend running something like Ghost and or a Silencer so that you don't give yourself away immediately after uncloaking. And do keep in mind you have to cloak at the right time, because as in this gameplay, sometimes you cloak and waste it because there's nobody to kill, there's nobody near you, so you have to get the timing down right. Those are Spectre's abilities. I think the Ripper is a fantastic one. I run it all the time in pubs. Probably would never use it in competitive because pros aren't going to let you get that close to their face in order to rip them. Active Camo, very good in some situations. TDM, hardcore maybe, something kind of like search and destroy. Almost useless for something like domination or hard point unless you're really, really intent on flanking people. Well, let's take a quick look at Spectre's cosmetic options. As you can see, I've got hero armor unlocked. He also has the basic colors on his primary helmet. The next tier gives you these sort of jetpacky helmets. You can customize the color. I think the Bones one is the best one. Diver's not bad, and Chameleon, just like the gun, looks surprisingly like gold if you don't want to go for the hero armor. I do have one black market one. You can see that he has a matching set of the base armor. The Diver armor, the Earth, these are kind of less interesting to me, but Bones, again, is pretty dope. I love the skeleton armor and the Chameleon one because it looks so much like hero armor, but for now, I'm sticking with hero armor. Final thoughts on this specialist are that he or she is still my favorite. Interesting story, interesting cosmetic choices. Ripper is really dope. Active Camo, kind of fun sometimes, not the best thing in the world. It's all about the Ripper, and if you want to use it, I would highly recommend it for just about any public game mode. Guys, that is all for this in-depth episode. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. The previous episode was on the Firebreak Specialist, and the next episode is going to be on Reaper. Drifter out.